بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. Do not close the book that will open your life. Quran is such a book. Whatever barriers, whatever difficulties a person is facing, and the greatest difficulty and hardship and need of insan is this guidance. Quran is a book that gives honor. So in the world, a Kareem, a noble person, is called a nobleman because of the definition of the world. So whether his status is given through external asbab, appearances, his looks, external accomplishments, his degree, his qualification, or his family lineage, or even his intelligence and intellect, then he is considered a nobleman, a Kareem. But Deen's criteria is something else. That's why Hazrat Yahya Bin Muaaz used to say, and he was a famous lecturer in Zahid who was in Balkh, and it is said about him, لَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ النَّذِيرُ فِي وَقْتِهِ, that there was not a parable like him in his era. What he used to say, مَا عَسَى اللَّهُ كَرِيمٌ وَلَا آثَرَ الدُّنْيَا عَلَى الْآخِرَةِ حَكِيمٌ. No respectable person has ever disobeyed Allah. A Kareem, a noble person, somebody who fits this criteria, will never disobey Allah. وَمَا آثَرَ الدُّنْيَا عَلَى الْآخِرَةِ حَكِيمٌ. And an intelligent person would not give preference to this world over Akhirat. So ultimate intelligence is to give preference to Akhirat, and ultimate respect and honor is for a person who does not disobey Allah. So Deen, Amal, Quran, Akhirat, this is our priority. But a person who disobeys Allah shows that he has lost his priority, and he should not be a Kareem, a nobleman. He does not fit under this criteria. So all of this is connected. Likewise, a person who gets the amal and gets sifat, whether it's taqwa, whether it's tawadu, whether it's qana'at, whether it's iffat, these are all sifat which we need to acquire. This is the real capital. That's why Hazrat Aamash Sulaiman bin Mahran, who was a tabi'i, a famous tabi'i, and he passed away in Kufa. He was a great scholar, a mufassir, a muhaddith, and he narrated 1300 ahadith. Allama Dhahabi has mentioned about him, كان رأسا في العلم. He was an imam with regards to ilm and amal as well. So what he used to say, من كان رأس ماله التقوى كلت الألسن عن وصف ربح دينه. When a person's capital is taqwa, the tongues will praise his religious, his deeni achievements and profits so much. When your capital is taqwa, your amal, your profits in your deen will reach a level where the tongues of people will be helpless. They'll be unable to, they'll be incapacitated to describe this person's achievements. وَمَنْ كَانَ رَأْسُ مَالِهِ الدُّنْيَا. And whoever's capital is this world, the achievements of this world, كَلَّتِ الْأَلْسُنْ أَنْ وَصْفِ خُسْرَانِ دِينِهِ. Then he'll be condemned for his losses the tongues will be helpless in describing the losses which this person will undergo because of not understanding his objective. So nowadays, guna has become so common that even the person who committing the guna and who thinks I've excelled others will marvel at somebody else who has surpassed him. Unlike we marvel at the achievements and the accomplishments of Sahaba. But there will be such a deterioration and decline in the Ummah that even Batil will marvel at what the people of Iman have done. We were traveling in one country, it was a Muslim country, speaking to the taxi driver, inquired from him, was there any experience, any exercise which in his life was interesting. So he relayed the incident and said, once I can recall very clearly, this memory is vivid in front of me, a couple from the US had come to visit and they'd finished their tour and I was dropping them off at the airport and I asked them what was their synopsis of the situation of this country here. Remember, this was an American couple, non-Muslims, and coming to a Muslim country. The point being made is even somebody else who would have been considered committing evil, this is their synopsis. They said, we come from America and we've seen the climax of sin and ma'asiyah and disobedience and evil. But when we came to your country, we were baffled to see that you people had surpassed us. An American citizen is telling a Muslim in a Muslim country that your sins has superseded that level where we marvel, we are amazed at what you will have done. A Shaikh, a alim left a Muslim country and he toured and he came back and the people obviously came to meet the Shaikh and asked him for Karguzari and report. How was your journey? How was your travels? So he said, I went to a non-Muslim country and I seen Islam. I went to a Muslim country and I never seen Islam. So the brothers were very shocked. They could not understand it. Then he explained, said, Shaykh, what you talking about? What's this? We don't understand. I went to a non-Muslim country. I seen honesty. I seen trustworthiness. I seen people that are very helpful. So they were not Muslims, but I seen Islam. They had manners. They had good etiquettes. Then I went to a Muslim country. The only thing I found was lies, deception, people that are proud and arrogant, and people that are conceited and only worried about themselves. So sin, when we abandon deen, when we abandon Allah, when we forget our priorities, sin reaches this level here. They say there was a honeymoon couple who returned home and they were barely on speaking terms. So the friend of the groom seen him in distress and he said, what's the problem? You just got back from your honeymoon. You should be on the moon. You should be licking the honey. You should be on top of the world. What has happened? So he looked sadly and said, after the first night, I got up to go to the bathroom and I put a $50 bill on the pillow without thinking. Na'udhu billah, he had a habit of going to immodest ladies. So out of routine, he dropped the $50 bill. So the friend said, don't worry, she'll get over it and she'll never think that you are unchaste. And when she got married, she would have known some of your routines. So the groom said, maybe, but I don't think so I'll get over it. I don't think so I'll ever get over it. She gave me $20 change. She gave me $20 change. So speaking about the Quran is as described, innahu laqur'anun kareem. It is called Al-Qur'an. Qur'an means the recited word. This book is recited. So besides it having oceans of knowledge and volumes of wisdom and hikmah, it is the most read and most recited book in the world. It is the most recited book in the world. If we just go by the amal of the Sulaha, Imam Shafi used to complete reciting the Quran 60 times in Ramadan, except what he read in Salah. Aswad used to complete reciting Quran every 2 nights. Qatada completed the Quran within 7 nights, and when it is the Mubarak month of Ramadan, he used to complete it every 3 nights. But in the last 10 days of Ramadan, he made a khatam every night. Aswad bin Yazid used to complete reading the entire Quran every 2 nights in Ramadan. His habit was that he would sleep between Maghrib and Isha, and the rest of the time engage in tilawat of Quran. Outside Ramadan, he would complete it every 6 nights. Sa'id bin Jubair would complete reading the Quran every 2 nights, 15 khatams in Ramadan. Al-Walid used to complete it normally every 3 nights, but in Ramadan, he would make 17 khatams. Al-Qasim, describing his father, Ibn Asakir, who was the author of Tarikh Damashq, the history of Damascus, he used to always perform his prayers in congregation. He should make sure he never missed Salah with Jama'ah. He would be reciting Quran very often, and by Friday he would make a khatam, means his routine out of Ramadan would be every week he would make 1 khatam. However, in Ramadan he would make a khatam every day. So these were great ulama, great luminaries who had achieved and had so much works in deen. Allah had given them barakah. Abu Barakah Hibatullah, Imam Zahabi describing him says that he was very famous for his sadaqah and tilawat of Quran. He would make a khatam every day in Ramadan. So this Quran is the most read book during the Muslim rule in Delhi. Fakhruddeen had employed 12,000 people. Their job, their work, their occupation was solely and only for making tilawat of Quran. So daily 1,000 khatams would take place. Daily 1,000 khatams would take place. In the Uthmani Khilafah, Sultan Saleem I, rahimahullah, he had a special chamber constructed in the Topkapi Palace, which had all the relics and the Mubarak remnants of Nabi alayhi salatu wassalam, that he was so attached to these relics that he would personally sweep and clean this chamber while he was alive. And he started the routine of having the Quran recited 24 hours every day, the entire year in that chamber. Likewise, the routine of Durood Sharif. So many Huffaz were employed to recite the Quran in shafs, and thus routine which he initiated continued for a period of 400 years. We can probably say it was the only place on earth where the Quran was recited significantly. After the collapse of the Khilafah, this practice was stopped. Nowadays it has been revived, but when the chambers do open, then tilawat of Quran and durood takes place as well. Speaking about the Uthmani Khilafah, after World War I and part of these world wars, and Allah protect one and all to see World War III and the consequences. Each world war was engineered for specific purposes. So Mustafa Kemal, who was not Kamil and had no Kamal in his leadership of Turkey, he had instituted a numerous un-Islamic reforms. All the Islamic books and literature were destroyed. Quran tilawat was banned. People after time forgot how to read the Quran. There was nobody to read Taraweeh Salah in Ramadan. Thousands of ulama were tortured and executed. Many were exiled. And people had to secretly worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anybody who dared asking about the ulama were executed or punished or imprisoned. And those that really Allah had chose preserve deen would go secretly in the caves, in the mountains, in different makeshift places just to preserve deen. Amongst the shuyukh which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had accepted was Shaykh Mahmood Effendi, who dedicated his life to reviving the Quran, and he would make journeys and travel to the outlying areas and encourage people. And people used to say that, Shaykh, what do you want? Name it, we'll give it to you. He would say, build 2 madrasas in every neighborhood, one for the boys and one for girls. So parda, hijab priority, Quran priority. So through his efforts, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted it. The Quran teachings were preserved, and he would say, even if you open a madrasa as small as a chicken run, it will be a spiritual guard in that area. And today there are hundreds of madaris and thousands of students where deen has been preserved. So to make our life Quran, to make our everyday Quran, it is the most read book. The question is it my most read? Allah has accepted these people. It is the most read in their lives. The question is it the most read in my life? Is it the periodicals, the chronicles, the different literatures of makhluk that we have read a lot? Somebody can marvel and say, I read the Encyclopedia Britannica in those days. There were libraries and books. Nowadays there's everything is online, and we've put our akhirat on the line. So Imam Hazrat Junaid Baghdadi, when he was passing away, even on his death, while we are alive we can't read Quran. When they were dying, they were reading Quran. He had made a khatam of the entire Quran while his ruh was leaving him. Then he started another surah, another khatam, Surah Al-Fatiha, Surah Baqarah. He read 7 verses of Surah Baqarah, and Allah had taken his ruh, rahimahullah. So these people, they left in style. So we need to be checking ourselves. There's so much to learn. One lesson. If the words of the makhluk has so much weight, then the words of the Khaliq Allah, how much weight does it have? So for example, somebody will say, I've learned, and we take lesson from that. How much more can we learn from the Quran? Like somebody beautifully said, I've learned the best classroom in the world is at the feet of the sulaha and the ulama. I've learned just one person saying to me, you've made my day, makes my day. I've learned that being kind is more important than being right. I've learned that I can always pray for someone when I don't have the strength to help him in some other way. I've learned that sometimes all a person needs is a hand to hold and a heart to understand. I've learned that simple walks with my father around the nights and days was wonders which I still remember till today. I've learned that life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer it gets to the end, the faster it goes. I've learned that we should be glad to Allah that He doesn't give us everything we ask for. I've learned that money doesn't buy happiness. I've learned that it's the small daily things that make life so spectacular. You're waiting for the big things to happen. Appreciate the small things. I've learned that under everyone's hard shell is someone who wants to be appreciated and loved. I've learned to ignore the facts does not change the facts. I've learned that when you plan to get even with someone, you're only letting that person continue to hurt you, and you even out your life. I've learned that love, not time, heals wounds. I've learned that the easiest way for me to grow as a person is to surround yourself with people that are close to Allah. I've learned that opportunities are never lost. Someone will take the ones you missed. There is some wisdom in you missing them. I've learned that when you harbor bitterness, happiness will dock somewhere else. I've learned that I wish I could have told my mother and father, I love you more times and kissed them on the forehead more. I've learned that one should keep his words both soft and tender because tomorrow you may have to eat them. I've learned that a smile is an inexpensive way to improve your looks. If you want to improve your looks, learn to smile more. I've learned that I can't choose how I feel, but I can choose what I do about it. I've learned that everyone wants to live on top of the mountain, but all the happiness and growth occurs while you climb in it. We want the shortcut. We don't want to make sacrifice. I've learned that the less time I have to work with, the more things I get done. I've learned we can go through 1,000 lessons. Have we learned from Allah and His Rasul? The amal for today is Man tawadda'a faghasala yaddayhi, to make wudu, then to make wudu properly and not to rush. ثم لم يتكلم, without speaking, interrupting, being busy and engaged in dunya and talks. حتى يقول, and he reads the dua, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله. He reads this dua, يغفر له ما بين الوضوءين, between the two wudus, he will be forgiven. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq of making amal. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.